This is literally a highlight to do each year. You should know the gist by now. I f***ing love Garfield. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but for the nearly 16,000 new subscribers who've decided to recently watch my videos, you should know that I am an avid Garfield fan. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate all of you, and this is very just awesome. You guys are all the best. This isn't even an April Fool's joke anymore. Essentially, this annual series details me going through every Garfield game ever made and me reviewing each respective one. I love this big fat cat so much. I'm even going to start needing another shelf to stack my ever-expanding Garfield collection. Anyways, enough messing around. Ladies and gentlemen, here are some more Garfield games reviewed. Garfield PC games. The year was 1998. Bill Clinton had just been accused of receiving oral in the Oval Office, and Scholastic's comic book maker featuring Garfield had just come out. I'm going to act like both of these are related. When trying to find the download for this game, I stumbled upon Spongy Sylveon complaining about someone posting this. Who the f*** cares about this? Well, I do, Spongy. What the f*** is your damage? Honestly, this game is pretty basic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm too stupid to figure out how to run a Windows 95 emulator on my computer so I could actually play this thing. Yeah, I had to resort to finding a YouTube video of this title. Sorry, guys. But honestly, it is what it is. A simple comic book maker featuring Garfield, which nowadays can easily be done online. However, Jim Davis does appear in this, offering tips and behind-the-scenes info to the player. God, I love this man. The time period of 1998 to 2003 was known as Garfield's computer-centric days, which means, unfortunately, I was unable to play the next two titles as well. But don't worry, we're not missing much. In 1999, Garfield's Mad About Cats came out, which was a minigame collection of Garfield burping and swatting away at spiders. The computer voice to this game is kind of eerie to me.
I feel like playing Dress a Nerd. It's time for John to get ready for his big date. Can you help him pick an outfit?
So Garfield is displayed as Dr. Frankencat, who is experimenting on Odie to create the perfect cat. Yeah, I didn't know Garfield was such a huge advocate for eugenics either, but here we are. The game was the last Garfield-related work in which Lorenzo Musics, the original voice of Garfield, took part in, and honestly that in itself makes this game fairly notable. Garfield's Typing Pal, released in 2003. This was a pretty big deal. For almost a full 3 years, there were no Garfield games being released. So needless to say, the world was in a desperate drought when it came to Garfield titles. And it's another game where Garfield harasses Odie. Oh my god, Garfield just got bored. It's like, whatever. Once again, we're greeted with a bunch of mini-games, but what I don't like about this game is that there's no real music, so it's just a vapid playthrough full of sound effects of Garfield gobbling various foods. How underwhelming. In the year 2004, Garfield finally entered the third dimension, and if I'm being honest, he probably should have never made the jump. Well, let's take a look at the audience reviews first. So hot. Oh my god, he's so hot. Guys, I'm not a furry, I promise, but Garfield the Cat is so... okay. The game was released on PC and the PlayStation 2 respectively, and the version I played was for the PS2. And by PS2, I mean an emulator of the PS2 on my PC. Yeah. First of all, I like the cover art for the game, with Garfield standing in front of a huge mess. It's pretty cool, however that's where most of my compliments to this title end. The game begins, and we're greeted with a very pissed off John Arbuckle. Let me just say that the lip syncing in this game is very off-putting.
Garfield, if one more thing gets eaten, scratched, or shredded, I will put you on a diet.
I don't like how John's mouth moves, it makes me uncomfortable. The gameplay starts, and Garfield is seen using a... what is that, some type of vacuum? Imagine Luigi's Mansion, but the lack of the charisma and love of the game. Honestly, the gameplay is fairly boring, it's just Garfield doing chores while simultaneously kicking Odie. And although that is entertaining for the moment, it gets old pretty fast. If there's anything interesting I can mention, there's this section of the game where you essentially play Tetris. I mean, that's kind of cool. I wonder why they haven't made a Garfield-themed Tetris game yet. It may have been the emulator, but the controls to this game are very stiff, with graphics that are so bad they're laughable. I like the game over scene. John comes home and is absolutely livid, leading Garfield to silently scream. It's so uncanny.
Garfield!
It's such a run-of-the-mill Garfield game, there's not really much else I can say about it. Which is an absolute shame because there's usually much more I can work with when it comes to Garfield games. But since I was so bored and was hard-pressed for time in order to have this video in time for April Fools, I merely just looked up the ending online. Yeah, I gave up. Sorry, not sorry, everyone. John congratulates Garfield and it just ends so abruptly. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this one, let's get to the other game. Garfield, The Search for Pookie. This is the final game to be covered in this video. And well, it's at least more entertaining than the previous entry. So the plot of the game revolves around mysterious forces who kidnap and steal Garfield's love, Pookie. Garfield goes out on an adventure to retrieve it back and hijinks ensue. When I played the first level for the first time, I was confused on what to do. I kept walking around collecting hot dogs and was wondering if I really had to collect around 434 of these things, as the corner of the screen suggested. The player jumps around aimlessly every now and then, stepping on what I assume to be broken shards of glass. Ouch. As a somewhat clever nice touch, Garfield starts off the game with 9 lives, but it's almost not enough to warrant the sudden difficulty curves that surround this game. Not only that, but the levels go on and on. I used my Game Boy emulator to speed up walking to the end of the first stage, and it still took a while. I had to look up a walkthrough to figure out what to do, and essentially, to move on you have to collect a series of mice and walk all the way back to the near beginning of the level to put them into a cage, and Jesus, it's such a drag. The sprites are really weird. Garfield hops around with his hands extended outwards and looks really awkward. To attack, Garfield spazzes his hands around while walking around killing bees and other enemies. However, I can't judge the game on this level alone. There's another section of the game that is just awesome. That's right, Garfield is riding in a car with John Arbuckle, and I love the way John looks in this. Garfield looks so huge. His body height is as proportioned as John's, and honestly, I'm going to straight up say it, that's just straight gold. Garfield's expression is priceless. Essentially, in the level, the player has to keep driving to the right until the stage is completed, while snatching food from John Arbuckle's love interest, Liz. Liz, for some psychotic reason, every now and then presents bombs and soap bars to Garfield, trying to fool the cat to eat the explosives. So I played this game with friends and it left for some great hijinks.
Are you driving?
This is like the ending.
Oh shit, you're
What
driving.
the? Look at John!
That sprite is so good.
John. Oh!
Dude, Garfield's like,
Yo,
oh,
that
John.
I love this John
He
sprite.
looks like a fucking bean.
I want to go. I want to go on a road trip with them.
God, I wish I could be in that car.
Anyways, I decided to say screw it and once again resort to looking up the ending to this title online. Hey, at least I managed to play a decent chunk of this game. I think that's more than enough. A special thanks to Mr. Mixie and his playthrough of Garfield The Search for Pookie, because without them, I don't think we'd be able to see the ending to this game. We find out who the bastard is who ended up kidnapping Pookie, and it turns out to be a mouse with sunglasses, who every now and then appears to pull out a gun to aim and shoot at Garfield. That's awesome. Honestly, this boss battle gave me Mad Super Mario Bros. 2 vibes. You know that one boss battle against Mauser? Yeah, that dude. So Garfield kills the mouse and takes back his beloved Pookie from the villain, and it's pretty adorable. Shout out to Mr. Mixie for going ham in the Twitch chat after beating the game. Honestly, I would do the same thing as well. So overall, I liked it better than Garfield 2004, but it still wasn't exactly good. Yep, sad to say that this image of Garfield and John driving was the best part of the game.
My God, I'm so lonely.
As mentioned at the beginning of this video, this isn't even a meme anymore. I love going through these Garfield games and discovering the good and bad to be found within all these titles. Garfield grants me joy. I know his comics aren't much to laugh or holler at past any sense of irony, but he's just so adorable. And although his video games are also nothing to really write home about, I'm going to continue on in the future until I finally complete my fundamental duty of reviewing every Garfield game ever made. This is my mission, and I will accomplish it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, everyone. Zeepstirred out.
Nobody, 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 nobody. Ooh, nobody, nobody,